Once you receive your order, go ahead and lay out everything in front of you. You will need an 8 and 10mm socket with extension, 13mm wrench, a Phillips head driver, and a 4 and 5mm hex wrench. In addition, you will need a drill along with either a step bit or a 5/8 bit. With your 8mm socket, start by removing the seat bolts on the other side of the rear fender. Now you can lift and remove the seat. Using your 10mm socket, you'll have to remove the bolts that hold the rear fender to the subframe, along with the rubber holder that stretches over the CDI box. Now remove the CDI box and the pair of screws and washers on either side of it with a Phillips head driver. You can now remove the rear fender by firmly lifting it upwards and out towards the rear, revealing the subframe of your bike. You'll see that the underside of the factory rear fender has markings on it, specifically the 4 circles. Please take note of the arrows. These are the circles that you'll need to drill out. For this next step, we used a battery-powered drill with a step drill bit. You can also use a 5/8 bit, but be sure to pilot the holes first. Now you can begin to slowly drill out the 2 circles, achieving a 5/8 diameter per hole when finished. You can now reinstall the rear fender and CDI box as shown. Next, take your button head bolts and thread them into the holes pictured using your 4mm hex wrench. Now that the threads are coming out through the subframe below, you'll need to slide on the provided spacers and hold them into place with one hand. With your other hand, slide the mounting plate through the side of the rear fender as shown. Once you have everything aligned, carefully release the spacers with your hand while simultaneously sliding the mounting plate into place and over the threads. Now slide on the provided washer and nuts and snug them down using your 10mm socket. You'll notice a minimal amount of threads coming through the nylock on the nuts below. This ensures rear tire clearance while maintaining the strength to keep your rack in place. Now that the mounting plate is in place, you're ready for the installation of the rack itself. Take the rack and carefully align it over the rear fender. The rack has mounting tabs that work seamlessly with the mounting plate. The tabs on the rack sit just inside of the mounting plate and will look like the picture when you're ready for the next step. Go ahead and insert the button heads and washers as shown. For this next step, you'll want to take a small piece of duct tape and apply it to the back of your 13mm wrench. This will assist you in keeping the nut in place while threading the side mounting bolts. Begin to thread them in, but be sure not to over-tighten them, as you will need to maneuver the rack in the next step. Now swing the rack upwards in a vertical position and insert the provided spacers into the 5/8 holes that you drilled before. Once the spacers are inserted, you can carefully lower the rack back down. Next, take the button head bolts with washers and slide them into the rack and through the spacers. Using your 4mm hex wrench, thread them into the factory supports underneath. To ensure a secure installation, we provide you with additional nuts to lock them into place. Now go back, snug everything down, and you're good to go. As always, please let us know if you have any questions. We appreciate your feedback. Thanks for watching.